So the building has to be 80 foot wide
To get the trucks back.
to accommodate 2 trucks.
Two trucks, yeah.
And how many bays could you have then?
There's 5.
10 total.
So there's 10.
Yep.
You actually have 8 trucks already.
And at that time, we were talking that we were gonna try to get an EMS rig to come down to try to cut back on running 400 and some calls of rescue runs a year.
And the other piece of equipment that is gonna be critical is our county has 1 tower in it, and that's another thing that should be looked at. I get concerned when I see numbers go in that say, what vehicles do you have now and space a building? I've even seen some come back where they adjust door height based on what truck goes out that door. I think that's poor engineering and poor design to think that out of the lifespan of that building, only that truck's ever gonna go out of that door. And that's what I get concerned about when I start seeing some of the numbers and things like that, even the size of the door changing based on what truck's in that position at that time.
All these doors are the same height, and they are down at Merrill. They're all 14-footers. Our biggest truck, it has to have a 14-foot door to get in and out. There's just no way getting around it. And there's
I mean, we're gonna be close.
My comment just to you guys was, make sure we look at all avenues, cause we have got some good prices for some design build people.
Well, there's a lot of good topics you guys are bringing up, and you know, a lot of things we have to talk about as a group. So, and as we get together with the building authority meetings, I hope we'll continue to have that input so we can get this thing going.
You know, they're more than happy to meet with you guys also, so.
You know, one thing that this has brought up, and maybe you guys can comment on this, and maybe this is going back to the start. Do we have the best site? I mean, because if you look at the site cost to develop our site versus what it cost them, now I know.
Well,
it's
it's
not
much larger too, it's,
right.
you know, bigger building, more pavement, more, you know. And I think they must have city sewers there in Merrill.
storm and sanitary.
I would have to assume that any fire building that's been built in Michigan, including the UP, in the past 10 years, there's gotta be detailed records of costs and what it costs to build that building per foot, am I correct? That should be accessible? Isn't that a matter of public record?
You could find out, Riley.
should be able to find out.
Yeah.
Nothing's a secret anymore.
No, no, so there would be other options to look at as far as comparing to.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question. Why was the old fire board or building authority disbanded?
Huh?
It never was.
It never was?
No.
I thought that
It was just, it's drug out for so long that people got tired of sitting around waiting.
The
and
two guys quit.
sure seems like
Good.
November, the last discussion I was, you know, it's been that long since I've been around, but November it was like, we're just gonna kinda drop it.
Yeah.
I think it was
Well,
related to
it was-
USDA.
We were sort of,
They weren't
we
sure if
didn't know what
they
to
were gonna
do.
go with a bank loan, they didn't know if they needed the authority, and they were trying to decide at that point
we
which
can't
way they
borrow
needed to
from the
go.
bank, cause they won't go any longer than 15 years.
So the private financing holdup is due to the financing?
And you can
And-
only do a 15-year loan with a bank.
Bart was the
with
only
the
one left from
government
the
laws.
building authority, so he recruited the other two from the other townships.
No, what, last I remember, you guys were almost on the verge of finding a way to make it affordable at 30 years.
Right.
That was that 850,000.
Right.
And we, you know, and that's kinda what all the townships in the city would say, you know, that's what we can afford every year, so that's
What was the,
kinda where we need to be at.
We
with
could
money.
go 40 years on
But we don't wanna go
USDA, but we don't wanna do that.
but with the USDA we can go 40?
Yeah,
You
and
can
that's
go
the,
as long as you want, apparently,
that
but
was the rate, 3.5 now.
This is pretty cheap. Did anybody, I mean, this is my last question. Instead of going right back to the USDA and duplicating efforts, because I think this presentation's already been done by someone else. But did anybody do the difference between 30 years and 15 and what it would cost the taxpayers? Is it a lot?
Oh, if there's no way we could
yeah.
even handle the payment.
What we had thought, Tab, is that we could afford about $60,000 a year payment as a fire district, that's everybody
All three?
all pitching in.
Without a
And
millage,
that
see,
was-
Beaverton
I mean,
Township
I don't
don't
know
have
what
a
another-
millage for fire.
Right.
It'd be a huge amount, but that was what kinda was determined, that's when we went to the boards and said, you know, we're gonna increase the budget this for a, you know, a building, everybody was agreeable to that amount, but that's pretty much what we can afford,
Okay.
is our, you know, as a township.
And we
and
really
the
didn't want
city and
anything
stuff.
fancy, just a plain, nice
But that was
fire
based on
hall.
that 850,
But the price of going from 30 to 15, no, did anybody even look at that? Or,
yeah, I don't know,
It was
somebody
up
did the
over
math at the one meeting. I
So
don't
it-
know.
I can,
We did it at
40%.
one time. Yeah, it was quite a bit more for payment.
I mean, I'd love to do 15 years and
Well, it would be great if we could, but the cost
You still
for
don't,
those 15 years are way too high.
iffy to borrow from, better, rather not, so.
I don't know if somebody wants to figure that more than I, but
beyond that, the closing costs were huge too. I mean, just the fact of going private sector, the closing costs were unreal what they
I
wanted to
have
add
a
in.
letter here. It's here somewhere.
So are we as a society at that point where we cannot finance our own municipalities locally?
As long
Can't
as
be
we
done?
keep it into that 15-year range, and we've seen how many, it would take another millage to do that, and I think we know the result of a millage boost to pay for that, how that would result. I don't think it's in question that the vote will be no to increase to pay for that. So to keep it under what budget.
I mean,
we
that was
have
our
to work
initial
with.
intent, Tab, was to get a commercial loan. I mean, that was,
Right.
that's the way we were headed. I mean, that's why the building authority really wasn't doing anything, because that was our intent, was to try to get a commercial loan.
So
but-
what's the total that we could spend based on that, based on the 15-year loan?
Well, without
I don't
interest,
remember what it was.
15 years.
Well,
for-
no, with interest and everything, did you find it?
Well,
somebody's
what
gonna
do
tell
we,
me
60,000 a year, right?
What's that?
That's what we can afford is 60.
60 a year.
I think while we have these gentlemen here, I mean, I don't wanna hold you guys up all night. I mean, does anyone have any more questions for these guys? I have a quick question. The 372,000 site cost, is the helicopter pad removed from that, or is that included in that?
Not included.
Okay, 'cause I remember that was something that we talked about before.
I got a question, what are your design build fees?
We don't do design build.
What are your fees? How do you structure your fees?
We get a proposal from an engineering firm for the site, and then, our fees are usually for the building, 6 or 7% for design and construction services.
Okay.
And you have mechanical, electrical,
Right, that includes the mechanical, plumbing,
Yeah,
electrical.
structural.
roughly around 6-7%, someplace.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else for Al and his crew, or?
Thanks everyone for
Yeah, thanks for your time again.
coming in.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks guys for
You're welcome.
your efforts.
7 o'clock.
We have another thing. Good hitting going. You're the bottom of the first, there you go.
It's Monday night, we'll continue, I guess.
Yes.
But I just wanted to bring up that about the design build, and how we had some, what I thought reasonable prices from those guys, so.
Yeah, this one was.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna, try to accept a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have support? Second, all in favor? Now we need a motion to approve financial statements.
I make that motion.
Do I have support? Thank you, Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
And now, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, and
Second.
second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.